right. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. And let me go ahead and introduce Faru Ascari-Rod. Faru considers herself a native San Antonian and graduated from John Marshall High School here in Leon Valley. So she's a junior here at UTSA and plans to graduate in 2022. She is majoring in psychology as well as minoring in global affairs and plans to attend law school after graduating to fulfill her dream of becoming an attorney. She is in Honors College and serves as the Director of Operations for the Terry Scholar Student Organization, and she is also a Gilman Scholar recipient. When Faru is not busy, she spends her time enjoying the arts in various forms, painting, singing, dancing, or writing. Faru created Mental Health Day in 2019 as a way to bring students, faculty, and staff together to learn about the importance of taking care of their own mental health. She believes mental health care is a priority, and through working together, be able to end the stigma associated with mental illness and provide support and resources for individuals to utilize. So I will go ahead and hand it over to Faru and let her take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, Eric. Thank you guys for having me. It's wonderful to be here. I'm going to go ahead and get started. So this presentation will be all about Mental Health Day and taking care of your mental health. Okay, so a little bit about me, as Eric already mentioned. I'm a junior. I'm majoring in psychology and minoring in global affairs, and I hope to become a lawyer. I created Mental Health Day in 2019, and I'm the current executive director of the mental health team as well. And we're going to go ahead and get into a little bit more details. So what is Mental Health Day? So Mental Health Day was created to bring much needed conversations to college campuses. And the main goal is to help educate students, faculty, and staff about the importance of taking care of their mental health and being mentally fit. And another thing that we wanted to do was really raise awareness about the stigma associated with mental illness and let individuals know of all of the resources that are available to them that they can utilize in order to help end the stigma. And I have a picture right here of World Mental Health Day, which is on October 10th. And that's the same day that Mental Health Day actually takes place in order to kind of commemorate the event in one whole day. So a couple of reasons why you should prioritize mental health. I'm sure all of you have already seen the video, and I thought the TED Talk was incredibly informative, and I thought it was really helpful. And a lot of the points that speaker made were very valid and very true. So mental health encompasses our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. And it's something that affects everyone. So mental illness does not discriminate. It doesn't care if you're rich or poor. It doesn't care what your background is. Anyone can be affected by a mental illness. And that's why it's so important to make sure you take care of your mental health at all times. So mental health, it takes into consideration our thoughts, our feelings, our moods and behaviors, and all of that translates into the choices and the decisions that we make. Poor mental health, on the other hand, and mental illness can increase the risk for a variety of health problems, including cardiovascular diseases, especially something like stress, which is really prominent on a college campus and a population, of students who are so driven and wanting to work so hard. It really can consume us. So we have to make sure that we're doing our best to take care of those needs. And another really important thing that I really want to place emphasis on is that taking care of your mental health doesn't have to start because of a crisis. So oftentimes, you hear these stories that people share, and it's not until they hit rock bottom that they begin realizing how important it is to take care of their mental health. You can take steps along the way to ensure you never have to get to that point in your life. You don't have to be in a bad place to start taking care of your mental health. Your mental health is something that is something you should always care for, just like on a day-to-day basis. You know how you often hear, you have to be physically fit in order to avoid all of these problems and yada, yada, yada. It goes the same for mental health as well. They go hand in hand. Mental health and physical health are one. They work together. And so a healthy mind really helps to keep a healthy individual. So I'm going to talk a little bit about mental health in college because it can be really stressful, especially during a time like this. So we're already under constant stress and pressure. You know, we wanna do our best no matter what. We might have other types of stressors involved, and I'll get into that a little bit later. But I kind of wanted to take a look at some of the stats here. So 41.6% of students experience anxiety, and another 36.4 experience depression. And these stats are from last year. So these stats have only been exacerbated this year due to a fast-paced and ever-changing world, technology, environmental factors, and especially COVID-19. So COVID-19, as you guys know, it's caused a lot of social and economic consequences, which have hurt a lot of families across the world. And many are struggling to kind of find the middle ground of how do I cope with this? And being a college student and having to shift to an online platform all of a sudden, you know, not being able to see your friends and family, it really did take a toll on a lot of people and their mental health. And it's really important to keep in mind that although it's normal, we have to be aware of it and we have to know how to cope with it as well in order to be healthy. So as mentioned earlier, online learning has increased stress. It has caused a lack of routine for many individuals. And I know for me, myself, I have a complete lack of routine. I don't know. Sometimes I don't even know what days I have class. Like today, I found out one of my classes was async at the very last minute, not gonna lie. So, I mean, it's really it's chaotic. It's pretty chaotic. Loss of normalcy, of course, and an increased screen time. So increased screen time has actually been linked to greater rates of depression and greater rates of suicide. And that's because we get so sucked into our mobile phones or our laptops or whatever it is that we're using that oftentimes our reality is kind of distorted. So we really want to make sure that even though it's really incredibly hard, especially right now, that we're taking breaks from our screen and we're taking steps back and just going outside in nature, you know, obviously safely with masks on and just kind of enjoying time outside and away from the screens because everything has just been exacerbated by this. So this is just kind of how I think a lot of me and my peers feel, or a lot of you guys might feel as well. There's plenty of stressors going on right now, and I feel like at this time, this is exactly how I am. I try to think, you know what, this is fine, even with all of the craziness going around me. I try to think, you know what, it's okay, but there's a time and place for everything. And I think if your life is starting to look a little bit like this, instead of saying this is fine, you need to start taking actions on how to actually make the situation more comfortable and better for you so you are healthy. Instead of just saying this is fine and going along with it and putting it on the back burner, it can really, stress that's built up like that and anxiety that's built up like that can one day just cause you to explode. And that's really what we want to avoid here. We want to make sure that you're taking the steps necessary to cope with everything that you have going on. So I encourage everybody to take a picture of this slide. So this picture really just kind of shows you the ways in which stress and anxiety can affect individuals. And it also tells you the way in which stress and anxiety overlap in their symptoms and the ways in which you can cope. So again, as I mentioned, as college students, we're always under an immense amount of stress and pressure. You know, especially as honors college students, we want to do good. We want to be the best in our class. We want this internship. We want that internship. We got a wonderful job opportunity. We have the spices and the experience and everything that you got to all combine together to have a really good and holistic college experience can really take a toll on you. So you want to make sure that you're always taking the steps necessary to be cautious about your health and what you can do to combat any type of stress or anxiety. So again, I highly encourage you guys to take a photo of this. I'll have it up for about another 15 seconds in case anyone hasn't gotten the chance to do so. But it's a really, really helpful sheet. So it really tells you kind of how it can present itself. You know, you might excessive worrying, uneasiness, tension, headaches, or body pain, which you might not think would be associated with mental health, but oftentimes they are. High blood pressure, loss of sleep. I know that's a common one that I hear all the time. Students not sleeping or students being sleep deprived because they were working on XYZ assignments late into the night. So you just have to kind of make sure that with all of the things that you're doing, you're making time for yourself and time for self-care as well. Okay, so now I want to talk about the stigma associated with taking care of your mental health and mental illness. So a lot of times individuals are excluded or discriminated against due to these stigmas, and the stigmas really don't allow individuals to feel comfortable enough to reach out for help because they feel that they're going to be ostracized by society. And that only leads to increased feelings of hopelessness, and essentially it makes that person's situation a bit worse because they feel as if they don't have a support system they can easily turn to get the professional help they may need. And as well as internalized stigma, so it can turn into something against themselves. They'll turn it against themselves. They'll be like, oh yeah, like, no, like, you know, this isn't a thing. And that can as well really harm the way that they are thinking and harm their mental health. So some of the things that you may have heard regarding stigma is that people battling mental illnesses are dangerous to society. That's a huge stigma and stereotype that's always thrown out there. Or, you know, quotes, when you hear people, oftentimes, I think it's portrayed maybe in like films or whatever, someone says, hey, like, I'm really thinking that I need to seek help for this. And they're like, oh, it's all in your head. Or, you know, another one you hear a lot is, you're too young. Like, what do you have to worry about? You know, you're young, you're happy, you have a great life. There's no reason for you to be sad or upset or worried about anything. But again, mental health is way beyond just that. And another thing is that people assume you might be exaggerating. They're like, oh, you're exaggerating. Like, there's nothing wrong with you. You can just sleep it off. You probably just have a headache, you know. And things like that can be really, really harmful for people who are wanting to seek a support system and know that there are individuals out there who will support their journey when they're getting the help that they deserve. Another type of stigma is inappropriate language in reference to individuals with who may be battling some type of mental illness or who may be experiencing a dip in their mental health. And, you know, that's kind of the things that I often see on, you know, like we all use Twitter, or most of us use Twitter, whatever. Oftentimes I'll be scrolling through and then I'll just see someone calling, let's say, for example, and a celebrity is struggling with substance abuse and someone calls them a crackhead. So that type of language is very inappropriate when speaking to or about individuals who may be experiencing poor mental health or who are getting the help that they need. And, you know, they really need to have a supportive system. And using words like that, or I'm sure you can imagine some of the other words that people have used. You get the gist and you get the idea of some of the things that you may have seen. It's really harmful to that community because, again, that only discriminates against them, that only makes them feel ostracized from society, and it's only making them feel less better about themselves and less willing to seek out the help they deserve because, again, they think they're just gonna be stuck in a loop where no one is supporting them. So we really want to make sure that we're careful about the language that we're using, especially when we're speaking in relation to individuals who may be struggling with a mental illness, or when we're talking about mental health in general. All right, so I'm asking you guys to make a pledge, and if you guys feel comfortable, I would like for a couple of you to write in the chat a couple of ways that you plan to do this. So I want everyone to write down at least one way or idea which will demonstrate how you will contribute to ending the stigma as well as taking care of your mental health. So I'll give you guys a couple of minutes to do that. And again, if you feel comfortable, please go ahead and share your ideas in the chat so we can get a little bit of conversation going. All right, awesome. I see a response in the chat. Dante says, spend more time away from my phone and more time on reading and in nature. And that's a perfect example Another person, Rebecca, has said, I'm going to limit time on social media to once a day. Yes, it's incredibly helpful what limiting your social media usage does. I actually went on a social media cleanse last year for a month, and it did wonders for my mental health. Let me tell you that. So I highly recommend if you guys are down to try it. It can be hard, but it's definitely doable. So Scott said, limit my exposure to negative news as much as positivable. And I agree, negative news does definitely take a toll on you, especially with technology. It's always at our fingertips. Anything that happens, a quick notification, a quick trending on Twitter, and that's all it takes for you to be sucked into that. So definitely great one. Stop doom scrolling. Yes. Have a no phone rule when I get into bed, trying to go to bed. That's also a huge one. I feel like we're all guilty of that one. I know me personally, I'll be like, oh yeah, I'm going to bed. And then what do? I grab my phone and I'm automatically sitting there scrolling through Instagram or Twitter or San Antonio Express News, like whatever it is, I'll just be doing that. And we really need to make sure that we're also getting the recommended hours of sleep, which is 7 hours for us and for our age group. So make sure you're getting 7 hours of sleep, guys. It can be, it's a tough time when you have sleep deprivation. Benjamin said, recommending counseling services on campus for myself and others and exercise every day. Yes, that is a great example. Thank you. I think that's a really important one as well. Oftentimes people don't feel comfortable enough to go to counseling services, but again, there's no shame and there's no blame. If you feel that you want to go talk to someone, be my guest. Like, you're more than welcome to go ahead and call, make an appointment, and talk to them. They're very helpful. And the other thing is as well, again, I really want to stress this. You don't have to be in a bad place to either seek counseling services or to start taking proper care of your mental health. So I just really want to emphasize that again. And exercising every day is also important for your physical health as well. So that kind of, goes into both. Casey said, communicating more with others and not being isolated, even in isolation, and just let others know I am there for them if they're having troubles with their mental health, and be consistent in checking up on them. And that's perfect. Again, you guys really got this down, so I'm really happy. Reaching out to your friends and really making sure that they're okay. It can be a difficult conversation to have because you don't want to be stepping on anybody's toes or feeling like you're imposing anything. So you really just kind of have to be like, hey, like, how are you doing? Like, yeah, like, okay, like, are you feeling stressed? Okay, cool. Well, maybe we can go have like a picnic one day or something, or just maybe we should go paint together. You can just do activities to be less isolated, and as well as communicate with your friends and family and make sure everybody is doing okay. So thank you everybody for sharing. Those are wonderful. Let me go ahead and go on to the next slide. So again, I encourage you guys to take a picture of this slide. I'm actually going to see if I can place the links in the chat because I know you guys can't click on the links on the slide. So let me go ahead and do that really quickly. But, actually, it looks like I can't really. Okay, you know what I'll do is I'll put the links in the chat after I'm done with the presentation when I'm on the question slide, so that way you guys have access to them as well. So here's a couple of university resources. So of course, Counseling and Mental Health Services at UTSA, they're helpful. That's their phone number, and that link that I have attached there kind of gives you all of the, gives you like a list of resources that you can have access to. And yes, Eric, thank you. Yes, I can do that. So that's one resource. And again, Counseling and Mental Health Services here at UTSA, you can give them a call, schedule an appointment, talk to them, and they're helpful individuals and they're here for us. So we want to make sure that, we're utilizing the resources available to us. Local resources. So I've placed links to a website by the National Alliance on Mental Illness in San Antonio. And both of those links have like a long list of resources in San Antonio for anything and everything that you're looking for. They have support groups. They have a range of different resources for individuals to utilize in San Antonio. And then, of course, I've also listed the numbers of national helplines. So we have the national helpline for suicide prevention, as well as for LGBTQ individuals who just may need someone to speak to. Okay, so last but not least, I wanted to talk to you guys about our Mental Health Day event for this year. So Mental Health Day 2020, the second annual event, very excited. It's gonna look different, of course, because it's on a virtual platform, but everything is still taking place through the same measures of, we wanna make sure that as many people are informed as possible about the resources available to them and the ways in which they can help end the stigma. So we're having a virtual tabling event on Friday, October 9th at 12 p.m. And essentially what this is on our website, we're going to be posting all of the student organizations that we have partnered up with at UTSA and the UTSA affiliated departments who have collaborated with us in order to share their best practices for how they're helping end the stigma, as well as educational and informational tips regarding their specific organization in mental health. And then the really big one is the virtual discussion, which is happening on October 10th. So as mentioned earlier, October 10th is World Mental Health Day. So the discussion is going to be taking place on that day, and it's going to be from 11 to 2 p.m. And we have 3 guest speakers who will be talking about different subjects in mental health and mental illness, as well as how to end the stigma. So we have Dr. Fernandez, who is a UTSA professor, and he will be talking about fictitious disorders and mental illness from 11 to 12. We have Dr. McNaughton Castle, who some of you may know or may recognize. She's very active in the Honors College, and she's going to be talking about impact of disasters on mental health from 12 to 1. And then we have LPC Griffith, who is going to be talking about mental health and the pandemic, which I think will be really, really interesting, especially since, we're going to be hearing a lot of this, and this is something that is still ongoing. So we want to make sure that we're taking all the steps necessary to make sure we're taking care of ourselves during this time period, especially. And she will be giving that talk from 1 to 2. So the Rowdy link is up, and it is up in the Monday messages as well for you guys to be able to register and attend the virtual discussion. Keep in mind that you can earn up to 3 event credits if you attend the entire session. 1 hour is 1 session, and 3 hours three event credits for the entire session. And that just means you get more events and more shots to get that Apple Watch. So make sure you guys tune in, and it'll be a great discussion. We get to talk to the experts themselves. You get to interact with them and ask them questions, and really get to see all of your questions answered about what it is that you really want to know in relation to mental health and their specific topic. So we're really excited to have our guest speakers join us. And I've also placed the poster here, which kind of has our website as well as Instagram, if you guys would like to give us a follow to keep up to date and learn more information. These events are this week. So yeah, I look forward to seeing you guys there. All right, so do I have any questions from you guys? And feel free to put them in the chat.
We'll just wait a little bit to see if anybody has any questions. And while we wait, I will just again reemphasize that this event is co-sponsored by the Honors College, and basically, if you want to knock out your requirements that you are required to have for the Honors College as far as events go, you can knock it all out at once. And if you already have them, you could add 3 more, again, just like what Faru said, to get that Apple Watch. And if you don't have an Apple or an iPhone, you can always sell it. At least, I don't know, that's what I'd be thinking. So yeah, all right. And Rebecca had a question. She said, can you tell her more about the social media cleanse?
Yes, absolutely. And honestly, it's something that I'm reconsidering doing again if it wasn't for the current job that I'm in right now, which is heavily reliant on social media. But so the social media cleanse I did for 30 days, and I actually it was something that I tried out when I was taking Dr. McNaughton Castle's class because I really wanted to kind of experiment and see what it would do for my mental health because I had seen all the effects that it has on especially students. And, with social media, especially things like Instagram or Twitter, whatever it is that you're using, people are showcasing the best aspects of their life, right? Maybe not so much on Twitter, but definitely on Instagram. People are posting their best pictures, their best vacations, their best XYZ, whatever. And so oftentimes what that does to us is we begin comparing our lives to theirs. We're thinking, oh wow, I wish I could have gone on that trip. I wish I could look like this person. I wish I could be as smart as this person or whatever it is. We often start to compare ourselves, and even if we're not doing it consciously, it's still happening without us even realizing it. And so what that does is creates kind of like a really narrow perspective of everybody's life. And we're all stuck in this kind of alternate reality, sort of, where everything that we're seeing isn't exactly as it seems. So there's always more to the story than just the pictures and the captions that are posted. And and doing a social media cleanse, I basically logged out of all of my accounts and then I uninstalled the apps as well because I knew that if I just logged out, you can usually just log back in with just a tap on your screen, right? It usually saves all of your information, click back on it, and you're logged back in. So I made sure to uninstall the apps as well, so that way there's no temptation whatsoever. And I really noticed a big change, especially within the first, I'd say, week. That's when I noticed the biggest change. And really, it was because, first of all, it does wonders for time management. Can I just say that? I was no longer spending just time wasted on just like scrolling through social media or scrolling through news or whatever it was. I literally just had my phone here, whatever I needed to do, got my work done, and that's it. Literally, my phone, the only thing I used it for within those 30 days was if I needed to text a friend, if I needed to call someone. Other than that, I didn't use it. And of course emails as well, because you want to make sure you're staying informed with school, everything school related. But I think the hardest part about that first week especially was sometimes friends would be talking about, hey, did you see what so and so posted, or oh my gosh, did you hear about X, Y, and Z? And I'd be like, no, like darn. And then it kind of gives you FOMO, like you feel like you're missing out. But it's really not worth it, because all of that stuff is still going to be there at the end of the day. Those things aren't going to necessarily go away by the time you get back to using your phone again. And so I noticed that personally for me, my head was a lot more clear. I felt like it wasn't filled with just unnecessary fluff that I think we often get from just like screen exhaustion, honestly. And I wasn't, having these, again, like I said, like subconscious messages of, oh, I'm not good enough, or oh, I wish I was like this person, or oh, I wish I had this person's life, what have you, whatever it is that you're looking through. And by the end of the month, it felt very natural to not use my phone for those things. And then I wish I had used the cleanse for a lot longer, but after a month, I felt like I was really starting to miss out on events and such, because I wasn't seeing them immediately on social media. And that's one of the things that sucks, is it's so intertwined with everything else that we do that sometimes you might actually miss things. but but yeah, so once I got back on it, I immediately noticed my mood wasn't as like cheery as always. I didn't have as much energy again. So it really just kind of takes you out of this negative space. And even if it's not a negative space, just the fact that you're always on your phone just creates a lot of unnecessary kind of tension within the brain itself and the mind. So I highly recommend, even if it's just for a week, I think you'll definitely see a noticeable change. Okay, so when it comes to mental health, what do you think is needed more besides the ones hit on within your PowerPoint? Funding. Yep, I think we definitely need more funding when it comes to government related programs and being able to have mental health care be accessible to individuals, because I know that right now it's not necessarily accessible. Therapy and counseling can be incredibly expensive, even if you're insured. And I really think that if we put more funding into our mental health care and our mental health system, and be able to work with mental health care professionals to really see what it is they need in order to expand in that area, that we will definitely have a healthier population. So thank you. That's a great question.
All right, does anyone else have any more questions? Okay, so if anyone does have any other questions, feel free to reach back out and we can definitely get those questions answered. Farouk, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it, taking time out of your busy week to speak with the students. And for all the students at this point in time, thank y'all for participating as well. Make sure to include what you have learned in this talk in your submissions, as well as look forward to attending the October 10th event as well. All right. Thank y'all so much, and I will go ahead and upload this presentation as well as her PowerPoints shortly. All right, thank y'all so much.
Thank you so much.